here we are. This is Sex Love Psychedelics, and I'm your host, Dr. Kat. Bringing you psychosexual conversations that will leave you intellectually turned on and hungry for more. I've been recording my dreams since 2013, and sometimes I'll just have like jot some things down before I move on to my day. Is there a specific practice that you would encourage people to develop these relationships with their sleeping dreams?
Well, there's a lot of things to do. The main thing is to really consider it like a relationship. And what do relationships thrive under? Attention, right?
Yeah.
So it begins with attending. And so really making a practice of keeping track of your dreams. If you're too sleepy or lazy or tired or whatever, this is me, to write them down all the time, record it into your phone and transcribe it later. But make sure that you're like, wink, I'm paying attention to you. You're like there for your dreams. And your dreams will start giving it back. After that, you start coming into relationship with the images. So one really quick exercise that I give a lot of people in my teaching and also in my book. I wrote a book, Dream Work for Growth and Healing, and it's 7 steps, and it's a journal. So there's pages after each step to sort of write out what you've just learned how to do. But one of them is called associations. And basically you take your dream and you would list out, after you've written the dream, you're going to list out all of the images. And then in a parallel column, you're going to take each image and you're going to forget about the dream completely and just list out, when I think of this image, what are my associations to this image only from my waking life? Not from the dream, not from the feelings and whatever it brought up in the dream, just from your waking life. And so you make out a list across from each of the images of what your associations are to that image in your waking life. Then you put the images aside completely and attend to that list of associations. It's mind-blowing.
Oh my God.
All of a sudden you're like, oh, this is what it's trying to say. Try it.
I love that. I love that. There's
Yeah.
another practice I learned with my friend, Dr. Ida Cohen, and I have a podcast episode about him. So if you're listening, definitely check that one out. And we talked about the importance of, writing down the dreams, but also connecting with what were the emotions and the feelings that were going on with this, which really expanded that practice for me, because I got so connected to just the writing the symbols and what happened and the story of it. But then it really changed things for me, because then I would go back into, well, what was I feeling in the dream in that moment when this thing happened? Or what was the emotion that came up for me? Or what was the thought that came up for me? And that actually helped me to see more how it was related to what I was processing recently or what I was going through.
Yeah, the emotions will be a little bit more connected to habitual consciousness, but they will sort of give you a framework, right? So then if you go through the process of, okay, so this is what this is the language of the dream or the journey, right? So you go from, here's the journey or the dream, here's the images, which is the language, right? That's the imaginal language or the symbolic language. And then you get to, oh, this is the language for me. This is why these images came for me, because of what they mean to me. And then put the emotions back in. You get more of a backdrop of meaning and why you would be having this particular dream or vision right now, or things that need attending to. But the emotions can be a distraction as well.
Tell me more.
Well, it's just, they tend to be more residual from waking consciousness, from habitual consciousness. Another way of saying habitual consciousness is ego perspective, right? And so this is what our ego wants from us more than what the world below that might be trying to show us. So you want to be attentive to that.
So I literally have so much fun diving into symbolism and mythology and stories and my own psyche and spending a lot of time swimming in that. But for the majority of the population who might be listening to this, how can we, what would be productive about this, or what would be supportive about doing this type of work rather than just getting, spending hours and hours at a time lost in that space? Is that, can we spend too much time in working on ourselves? And at what point does that become maladaptive because we're not living, or we're not playing, or we're not out there in the world?
Yeah. I mean, I think I want to start by saying, like, while we're sleeping and dreaming, we're working. The dream, whether we're
Yeah.
analyzing them or not, the dreams are working on us and with us.
Yeah.
I would also say that even somebody who's as dedicated to the dream realms as I am, I don't remember my dreams all the time. I don't spend all my time working on my dreams. But when I have sort of an epic dream, a dream that's calling to me, a dream that feels like there's something there, and I take the time to work with it and to understand it and to integrate it, it's usually pretty big. It's usually pretty, and so the rationale for it, really for everyone in this moment in time, is that the dream realm is an unlimited resource. In my experience, the images that come there and the dreams that come are beneficent. They are for us. Therefore, if you don't need any support in this day and age, in this world, then don't pay any attention. But if you'd like some extra support, it's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and ultimately it does arise with psychedelics. So how do we support ourselves in that versus just being a really cool journey that we entered into other dimensions and
Exactly. And that, as you know, I mean, I know you know, that all comes down to integration. Same thing with dream work. If we don't integrate what the message is coming through the collective, then it's just something cool that happened while we were sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with the psychedelic visions. If we don't integrate it into our waking lives in meaningful ways, in even actionable ways, okay, right?
Yeah. Well, that was fun. Thanks for tuning in, lovers. And if you want to experience more ecstasy and sexual liberation, head over to sexlovepsychedelics.com and learn about how you can join me for any one of my online or live events. And while you're there, grab my free guide on sex and psychedelics. Remember, this podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please contact your healthcare provider and local law before pursuing any of the products or psychedelics discussed. And one final note here. I make this show specifically for you. If you're loving the show, then be sure to leave me a review in iTunes or Spotify to let me know. Happy to be here and happy to serve. I'll see you next time on Sex Love Psychedelics.